Hello friends, it's Alexis and welcome to my December Battle of the Books. Okay guys, I know this is super late and I am sorry for that. I did not realize how much work it would take to do all of my end of the year stuff, all of my trying to complete my reading goals and challenges, and then adding in all of my beginning of 2025 content and my channel anniversary. Like, I have been busy and I have been sick. I was sick the entire first half of January, which probably had something to do with how insanely busy December was for me, but I am finally here today to wrap up December and finally say goodbye to 2024. Well, actually, I guess that's sort of a lie because I do still have to film my best and worst of 2024, but after that video, we will finally be done with 2024 content. So, even though this is late, thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, this is just the way I do my reading wrap-ups every month. I throw all of the books I read last month into a bracket generator website called Bracket Fight, and it randomly pits the books up against each other to battle it out and determine what my favorite book of the month was. This month should probably be pretty short, but fun, because I have a lot of rant reviews about these books. I will try to keep it short because a lot of them did make appearances in my vlogs, which any of these books I have a vlog for. The vlog will be linked below. But yeah, I'll try to keep my review for each book on the shorter side, but it was just not a great reading month. I had a lot of low ratings and I only read 8 books in the month of December, which is still a great number. Like, if you read 1 book a month, that's more than most people I know. But for me, I always try to read a minimum of 10. So yeah, this was a weird month for me. I was in a little bit of a reading slump, but I'm already doing a lot better in January. So I think those are all the rules and housekeeping items I had to talk to you about. Let's get into the bracket fight. Okay, for the bracket portion of the video, I will be in my tiny little square over here, letting you know my thoughts. So for our first matchup, this is actually a really good one. I have a vlog for both of these books. They might even be in the same vlog. I know these were both book of the month picks for me, and I did 2 vlogs in the month of December trying to read all of my book of the month picks, and these both got pretty high ratings from me. So starting out on the left, we have Kill for Me, Kill for You by Steve Kavanaugh, and this is a thriller. I don't usually buy thrillers because I just feel like audiobooks are the way to go with them. I don't think I've ever reread a thriller because I would already know the ending, right? So having them on my shelf feels a little wasteful, pointless. If I could just wait and get the book from the library and listen to the audiobook, usually all in one sitting. But for this one, I saw so many good things about it, like I just couldn't resist. And honestly, I'm glad that I picked it. I don't know when I would have read it if I hadn't been doing that book of the month vlog. So I'm really happy that pushed me to pick it up because this was a really solid book. I ended up giving this one a 4.5-star rating. I was really entertained the entire time. There were some twists and turns that I did not see coming and I was shocked. And it's really just one of those books that suck you in, and like, I'm pretty sure I listened to the whole thing in under 24 hours because like I couldn't stop. I needed to know what was gonna happen, and I love that so much in thrillers. It was so close to a 5-star book for me, but like, I don't know, just something about it. It was just missing that little something. But overall, really liked it, and I'm definitely going to be recommending it for a long time. And that is going up against Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. This is such a similar situation as the last book. Not the plot or the story or anything like that, but it's another book that was so hyped that I felt like I had to buy it. And I really don't know if I would have picked it up if not for filming this book of the month vlog. She is a chunky book. I'm pretty sure she's over 500 pages, and I read this in one day. I couldn't stop. It was so good. So I know a lot of people were going into this for the romance. A lot of people were comparing it to Danny Phantom because our love interest is a phantom. And while the romance was fine, that was not my favorite part of the book at all. Like, honestly, I would have been fine without a romance. That's just me though. So I ended up loving the plot and the setting of this book. This takes place in a competition inside the 9 circles of hell, and oh my God. And like, I hadn't heard that from anybody. Going in, I didn't know that's what it was about. I knew it was a competition book and I knew it was a love story, and that was it. So I really feel like more people need to know that this takes place in hell because it was so cool. I love a book with a dark, deadly competition, and this did not disappoint. And like, honestly, the spicy scenes were fine. They were good. I've read a lot worse. So this is another one I gave 4.5 stars. Just the same thing. It was missing just the tiny something to make it a 5-star, but I'm so excited for this sequel. Like, I can't wait. But that means that we have our first head-to-head true matchup. We have 2 4.5 stars pitted against each other, which is difficult, and now I have to decide which one I enjoyed more. Based on the fact that I cannot wait for the sequel to one of these books, I think we know Phantasma is going to be the winner. Before we get into the next matchup, I do just want to give a disclaimer. This is not me saying which book is better. This is just me saying which book I enjoyed more personally, you know? But in this circumstance, in this matchup, 100%, I think one of these books is better than the other. And I think you can probably guess, and we don't even have to go too much into it, but I'm going to. So on the left, we have one of my favorite authors of all time, hello, T. Kingfisher, an icon. I would literally read her grocery list. Like, it is a goal of mine to one day collect and read all of her books. This one was also a Book of the Month pick and featured in that Book of the Month reading vlog, linked below, and this was my only 5-star of the month. I really enjoyed this book. This one is actually a retelling of the fairy tale The Goose Girl, which I had never heard of before reading this. And I still haven't looked up what the original story was, so I guess don't really take me as a judge of how accurate it was. It was just the perfect mix of fantasy and magic and just like darkness that T. Kingfisher brings into everything. Like, although this was a fantasy novel, there were horrific scenes in here that just, chef's kiss, A+. So good. And I haven't even mentioned my favorite part yet, the found family trope, which is just always my favorite trope in any book, but like, it was just so sweet. Just, I love the characters we meet in this so much. The magic system was so interesting. Just the conflict, the final battle scene, like, it was just so good. No complaints. A+ book. And that masterpiece is going up against Den of Vipers by K.A. Knight. I don't want to make anybody mad. I already have a whole vlog ranting about how much I hated this book. What did I rate it? It's been a while since I've read these books, so we have to consult my reading journal to remind me. I ended up rating it 1.5 stars, so yeah, that feels correct. Now, this isn't the worst book on the list. Can you believe that? But it's not. But it wasn't good. Did I enjoy some parts of it? Yeah, actually, surprisingly, I really enjoyed the story in the beginning. The spicy scenes in the beginning were actually pretty good. I found them to be way more humorous than they were sexy, which I don't really think was the author's intent, but you know, I was enjoying my time until this book just went on for probably 200 to 300 pages longer than it should have. There is no reason for a smutty book like this to be that long. Had this been a 200 to 300 page book, fine. It would have gotten a much better rating from me. But it got to the point where we were just repeating the same scenes over and over and over again. And then at the very end, the author like remembered that there should have been a plot. So she threw in this mystery thriller aspect that was totally unnecessary. And then when that wrapped up, the book kept going. It would not end. And for that reason, 1.5 stars. And spoiler to that upcoming video I told you about, it's probably going to be featured in there. So quite obviously, our winner for this round is going to be A Sorceress Comes to Call. Okay, so I always forget this, but we do the entire left side first before moving to the right side, which means we have to make the difficult choice now. Do I choose Phantasma or Sorceress Comes to Call? It's hard. Like, I know you're probably saying you gave one 5-star and one 4.5 star, but like, the rating doesn't always make it for me. It's about like the feelings, you know? It's about what would I rather read more from in this world. And A Sorceress Comes to Call wrapped up so nice and neat. Like, I don't need more. But Phantasma, I think the next book in this series, depending on where it goes, it could be 5 stars. It could be a new favorite of all time. I don't know. So this is hard. This is what makes doing it bracket style so difficult and so unfair, because honestly, these are my number 1 and number 2 books of the month. But it's not going to end up that way. Like, one of these is going to be number 3. I have my answer, but just know I'm not happy about it. And like I said, in a perfect world, they would be number 1 and number 2. But number 1 has to be A Sorceress Comes to Call. Just, I love this book so much. Okay, now that the difficult decision is out of the way, I can already tell you that the rest of this bracket is going to be so easy for me. So next up, we have The Man, the Myth, the Legend, Haunting of Adeline by H.G. Carlton. And I just have one question, and that is, why did I do this to myself? This is hands down the worst book that I read in December. I hate this book. I am so mad at this book. I never want to look at or think about this book again, which is really funny because I went to get coffee with my sister on Sunday and she was reading the sequel. And it took everything in me to be nice and not completely tear apart the first book to her, because she already knows how I feel. But I really do try not to shame people for what they like to read. Like, everybody has their own taste in books, and as long as you're enjoying what you're reading, I'm happy for you. But this book deserves no rights. Get this book away. Terrible. Horrible. The worst writing I have ever read in my entire life. I'm so mad. I'm so mad I have to talk about this book again. And I'll still have to talk about this book one more time. Haunting Adeline, if you don't know, is a dark romance about a girl and her stalker. Except we're supposed to excuse everything the stalker does because he's hot. And I feel like that's not even the story we got. Because right away in this book, they immediately start acting like boyfriend, girlfriend, like they're dating. Like, I wanted a stalker romance, and it wasn't that. It was just her whining about him not texting her back. The sex scenes in this were disgusting. I hate every single word this author chose to use. And for a book that's supposed to be so messed up, I was so bored. This was another one that just wouldn't end. And it did the thriller thing where it tried to throw in a mystery, action-y scene at the end, and it was stupid. It's so stupid. Why? Clear winner. Blue Sisters by Coco Mellors, which I guess I'll tell you a little bit about it. That's why we're here. This one was honestly very disappointing to me, and I still ended up giving it 4 stars, so don't take that as I thought it was a bad book. I just had really, really high expectations for it. If you didn't know, Coco Mellors' first book, Cleopatra and Frankenstein, was my absolute favorite book of 2023. I made it my entire personality for like 3 months after I read it. I could not get that book out of my head. I don't know. I have not fallen in love and been able to connect to a main character as hard as I did with Cleo in that one. So I was expecting that and so much more from this one, especially when I heard that this was about sisters. As I previously mentioned, have a sister. So I thought I was going to find this so relatable, so like heartwarming and touching, and it was just kind of fine. Honestly, the sisters in this were pretty irritating because all they did was fight. And like, there were a few good moments here and there. They do have like a happy ending where they like love each other and shit. So yeah, obviously I still enjoyed it. It's obviously our winner, but just, it's not a favorite of the month. And that makes me really sad. I thought this was gonna be my favorite book of the year, and it's not. And that brings us to our final matchup. Just 2 more garbage books. I'm sorry, I'm being mean today. If you love these books, your opinion is totally valid. I just don't see it. So you can keep them for yourself, and I will keep my books that you probably think are trash to me. So starting out with our first one, Credence by Penelope Douglas, also a part of that dark romance vlog if you want to hear me rant more about how much I hated all of them. Spoiler alert, I did not like this one either, but it was the highest rated of them all. I ended up giving this one 2 stars. I read it for the shock factor. It's a book about a girl whose parents die and she ends up going to live with her step uncle and her like 2 cousins who aren't really related to her, you know, and she gets with all of them. I was fine with that. I was fine with the spicy scenes. What I wasn't fine with was the romanticization of this abusive relationship. So I was expecting her to literally get in a relationship with all 3 of them. I thought they would all share. Why choose? That kind of thing. But no, it quickly turned into I'm gonna sleep with one, then the other, and then I'm just gonna sleep with the 3rd one for the entire rest of the book because like actually I'm in love with him even though he's an abusive asshole who does terrible things to her. I cannot believe this is supposed to be a romance book. It is so toxic, and not even in like a fun, spicy way. It's literally just romanticizing an abusive relationship, and I hate this male main character. The only reason it got 2 stars for me, which I know now that I'm talking about it, I'm kind of rethinking that, but it's because I genuinely really enjoy Penelope Douglas's writing. Her spicy scenes, especially when they weren't with the asshole character that I couldn't stand, I loved them. I was having a really good time. And even her plot, this was another one that was pretty long. I think it was 400 or 500 pages, but it didn't feel like it was dragging the way some of the other books did. But yeah, just the toxicity of the male love interest, I couldn't get past it. So I couldn't rate it higher than 2 stars. I couldn't do it. And then our final book of the month, The Only Survivors by Megan Miranda. This book will not be the only survivor. This book is getting knocked out this round. I don't know if you can believe it, but I did rate it lower than Credence. I rated this book 1.5 stars. This book was supposed to be a thriller, but I don't think I can tell you one thrilling thing that happened. It was so boring. Was there even a reveal in this book? I literally feel like we didn't find anything out. Maybe I was just really, really good at predicting this one. To put this in perspective, I can usually finish a thriller in like a day or 2, as evident from Kill for Me, Kill for You. This book took me an entire week to finish, and I had the audiobook. This isn't even a long book. I could not force myself to listen to it. Can't believe it, but Credence is winning this round. Okay, obviously an easy choice here. Blue Sisters by Credence. And yeah, Sorry it's a bit anticlimactic, but we have our winner. My favorite book of December was A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher. All right, friends, that is it. That is a wrap on December's reading and a whole year's worth of Battle of the Books. If you're interested in watching past months' wrap-ups, I do have them all saved to a playlist, and make sure you subscribe because I will be continuing these. If you would like to, you can leave me a witchy emoji below for A Sorceress Comes to Call. I'm thinking like the crystal ball, the like warlock witch emoji, a broom, whatever you feel like gives the most witchy energy. And please let me know what was your favorite book of December. I hope you all had a much better reading month than I did, and as always, friends, thank you so much for watching. I hope you read a good book today, and I will see you soon in my next one. Bye!